Hey, it's Matt from That Time We Woke Up in a Podcast and Had to Explain Manga. Our heated adventures overanalyzing manga we find interesting, otherwise known as the Over Manga Cast. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. You read the title of this. You know what we're reading. More Demon Slayer by Koyoharu Gotouge. And, you know, if it's good enough for the cinema, it's good enough for us. We're splitting Infinity Castle into 3 parts, so here's part 1. When are we doing the other 2 parts? I don't know, at some point, but chapters 137 through 163. Go ahead and enjoy. Someone should.
Hello folks, and welcome back to the Over Manga Cast. My name is Sam, and as always here at the top of the show, we talk about our familiarity read this week. But we're all very familiar with Demon Slayer at this point, so have you consumed any Demon Slayer since the last time we did an episode? Personally, other than listening to the anime OPs, because they are consistently bangers, they call her Eimer because she never misses, I've not really done any Demon Slayer since last time. How about you, Matt?
Nope. I really hated the Hashira training arc and didn't think even animation could save it, so I didn't watch that.
Fair.
I'm sure I'll watch the Infinity Castle movie because I don't feel like I need to watch the Hashira training arc. Um, but that hasn't happened yet because we are in the past.
Indeed.
Ooh.
Jay, how about
Ghost!
you?
Sure. So I've continued to engage with this medium. I did watch the Hashira training arc. I am a huge fan of the anime. Um, so it came up briefly, but I did a little bit of digging that kind of nipped me in the bed earlier. So might have spoiled some things for myself, but can say that definitely enjoyed this reading and looking forward to continuing to engage with the anime. I'll leave it at that.
Oh yeah, and Jacob.
I value my time. I'm not wasting it on Demon Slayer. I remember when I liked this series. I remember when I liked this manga. Ugh.
Me too. Me too.
I may someday. Honestly, I do actually want to, at the very least, watch season 1 because not only was the story and the characters good back then, but also the Demon Slayer can sometimes get a little bit hard to parse with its art. Like it's good, but it's very busy. And so like seeing it in animation, I can see why, what was it, episode 8 was the one that lit the internet on fire.
19, but yeah.
So I intend to at some point engage with the anime, but God, I'm only ever gonna bother with the manga for this podcast because it's funny.
It's
The
an
episodes are funny.
anomaly. It's really an anomaly, though. This is one of the few recommendations that, for just overall enjoyment, I would steer people to actually engage with the anime over the manga. I usually am very adamantly the opposite.
Well, I mean, we've mentioned this, I think, in the last like 3 Demon Slayer episodes, but there's a certain point where it's pretty obvious that the manga is basically just a rough draft for what the anime will be. The Hashira training arc was by far the worst example of that, but that's never not been true except for maybe the first arc.
Yeah. I do wonder how much like Gotouge Sensei was like seeing the success of the anime and being like, all right, I don't like I'll still put in a little bit of effort to keep people interested, but really I just need to storyboard stuff for Ufotable to go crazy.
I'm kind of wondering if at this point Shonen Jump's whole like business plan as a company is just to mass produce like spec scripts for selling off merchandising rights to anime companies and toys and stuff because they kind of grind shonen series through the ringer really quickly now and they either cut them or let them flourish.
Yes, Kagurachi.
Ah, yes, Kagurabachi, the best manga ever, clearly.
Absolute masterpiece with absolutely no flaws.
Yep.
I
What
don't
so many
know
you
if that's accurate or still just a meme because I'm of two minds.
so many unique and marketable characters who are all cool and individual.
Actually, it's kind of funny that you mentioned that because, like, Demon Slayer, particularly at this point in the manga, nearing the end, definitely has that vibe to it. But one of the things and there's going to be points where I am going to bring this up in the actual, like, nuts and bolts of the manga because there's one particular instance that just pissed me off and made me very angry. But one of the things that I think is notable about Demon Slayer is it came like right on the heels of the end of the previous era of shonen manga, where things like Naruto and Bleach and Dragon Ball and a couple of other like big name like old guard shonen had not just ended, but like they had become past. And one of the big things about that era of shonen was filler was king. There was like a level of we're going to keep the story moving forward, but you're also going to have a bunch of space of like just filling time with ancillary stuff that hopefully informs the characters and isn't enjoyable. And it more so true for anime, but also true for manga. Demon Slayer was one of the first ones to sort of like actively buck that trend and go in the exact opposite direction, where it's so terrified of filler that it causes pacing problems in the other direction. I'm relatively certain I've mentioned this of Demon Slayer before, but it sort of paved the way for Shonen Jump to be able to just churn out good enough manga that exists to be turned into anime, because it really is just going through the plot points as a pitch for a better paced story, i.e. the anime.
That's really the long and short of it.
Really, it is. I can't be mad because obviously it works, and yeah, I'm not gonna,
Hate the game, not the player, I guess.
Exactly.
But to actually get into the content of this episode, we pick up where we left off, which was admittedly very interesting. Muzan, the G, has at the mansion stroke sickbed of Master Ubayashiki of the Demon Slayer. And we have a chapter that I really enjoy. It's just the big bad and the big good, question mark, just monologuing at each other.
They've got a lot of exposition to get through.
Yep.
They've got a lot of exposition to get through, but it's exposition that's delivered via character interaction, which is honestly one of the biggest problems with Demon Slayer. It could afford to do this more. Because
Yeah.
then Text Box Kun wouldn't have to show up so much.
I mean, yes, but this entire interaction is kind of like this
It's-
entire
it's-
action is very forced, and
It's
they
on the
do.
nose.
They've got some dialogue later that explains why this happened now, but like, it's just like, and here are two people confronting each other.
Yeah, no, 100%. The situation is that the lead up to this is basically non-existent, which is the pacing problem mentioned earlier. But the good of this is that it's a lot of exposition, but it doesn't feel as clunky because it's two characters interacting with each other. It's actually, storytelling in a manga space as opposed to just text box kun explaining things. And there is a strong tension in the scene because you do have the BBEG and the leader of the good guy faction interacting, and I feel like it's a little bit obvious who's the one who's actually in control of the situation, but there is that element of it's like, who's, what's going to happen, who's, is it going to, which side's plan or whatever.
Yeah. And
We get
Ubayashiki has an interesting philosophical point to make, because he's like, the only thing you've ever sought throughout these 1,000 years is extending your own existence, which, sure, you've lived longer, but that is devoid of meaning. Human emotion exists longer than you with your false life. Just look at the Hashira core that I've gathered here. they are the result of generations of hatred and determination to kill you.
Mhm.
And that means that the feelings of their ancestors, as long as even after they've died.
Once you
Which,
die, you cease. And, however, our will, our emotions, family will live
Friends
on.
and their
Yeah.
underlings, because I mean, they literally reminisce of the fact that they've lost hordes of underlings even during their own training and development. And they carry quite literally on their backs not only the responsibility to their immediate family, their immediate friends, their underlings, their sometimes even their villages or small towns. They're like, it's quite literally, humanity versus demon.
Legacy, even. Just
Mhm.
the idea of legacy against someone who refuses to move on.
Especially because
Actually,
if Muzan dies, all demons will die with him. So he
Yeah,
like he
that's
doesn't
the
even have
thing.
like that kind of legacy.
yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
and the worst part, and this, not to go on my own tangent, but it's just kind of like that's a thing I don't really guess grasp because Muzan is very transparent about all of this. You are a means to an end. I want to be immortal, and I want to be like completely invulnerable to the sun and just have everything going for me. And once I achieve that end, you are useless to me. So it's just like there's not even a cell of like why you're doing this.
Mm. It's honestly very similar to Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, particularly Part 3 Dio, but Dio just in general, where there's this idea of I will be eternal. Okay, one, no you won't, but two, even if you did, to what end?
It's like, what do I get? Like, you want me to be super powerful, you give me this prestige, you promote me, what have you. But what does, like, and no one questions it, obviously, because to question would mean immediate death. No
Yeah,
surprise there, but it's just, yeah. And then
standard
what?
Tyrant's playbook.
And
Yep.
then what?
But yeah, the big
The big whammy moment.
again, it's kind of obvious who's the one who's really in control of the scene, and even Muzan's kind of clued in on it for most of the scene. Is like, I might have made a mistake, and then the mansion explodes.
Yeah, I was not expecting this level of retaliation because like the last thing the Demon Corps leader says is like, Muzan's just essentially like, are you done? He's just like, yeah, I'm gonna be really honest. I didn't think you'd let me keep talking this long. I got the full backstory out. I got to explain that we're actually of the same clan, but our entire clan is sick and dies before the age of 30 because they're cursed to have such a demon like you in our bloodline, and that our hatred for you is eternal so that we can allow our children to grow up and feel peace.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I really got it all out. Now I'm going to explode my house, my wife, and my two oldest children.
Yeah, as you do.
As you do.
As you do.
And by the way, I loaded a whole bunch of caltrips into the bombs, so you just got bouncing into mincemeat.
It
Yep.
is a really gnarly panel of the aftermath. It's really good art.
He's got like 30% of his face, of his entire head, still attached to his body.
Which is nothing for a demon. I mean,
Yeah,
we've
he's
we
regenerating it basically immediately,
Yeah,
but
the thing he mentions is that like the addition of things like the spikes and caltrops and whatnot specifically slowed down his regeneration. And honestly, the cool because we're going to complain a lot about Demon Slayer because it's Demon Slayer. Credit where it's due. One of the things I really like is Muzan establishes himself as because like one really easy way to piss off an audience is to have the villain be an idiot and somehow win still. Like have that like plot armor aspect. I like the fact that Muzan's like, okay, he knew the bomb wouldn't kill me. He put in the spikes to slow down my regeneration. I need to leave. This is all a stalling tactic. I don't know what's waiting for, but what are those things in the air?
got
And
him
then he
covered in
gets
spikes.
and then he gets spiked.
What do you
Wait a
mean a
sec.
blood demon art is being used against me? This is bullshit. Oh, hi, Tomio. You exist in this manga?
He specifically mentions he recognizes the demon this blood art belongs to too. He's like, that doesn't make any sense. And then Tomio's like, I took it out of his blood. It's mine now.
Yeah.
What? You can do that? I can do a lot of shit I've made up in the past couple of chapters. It will keep being explained to you how cool I am.
Yeah, so basically they kind of lore dump on here that apparently since she has separated herself from Muzen's control, that essentially she's becoming a progenitor of her own ilk. It's kind of interesting, but we're not
It
going to dive
is.
too deep into it.
It is, but she does essentially say, I've not been on panel for 110 chapters. You don't understand what I can do.
Yeah, neither does the audience.
She's been helping from the shadows consistently, though.
She has been. I would listen. It's one thing to be helping from the shadows from the in-universe perspective. I am the out-of-universe viewer. I would like to be bought in a little bit.
Yeah, like that's ultimately the problem. Honestly, that's the problem with Demon Slayer in general. There's a lot of ideas that work here. There's a lot of execution that isn't terrible, but the problem is there's just enough missing. There's just enough that's done either too quickly or something that's backfilled. Like it almost has the vibe of a fan fiction. Like it's written like a fan fiction where it's has way too much of a willingness to like backfill information that should have been told to the audience in real time. This
There,
needed another draft.
in our reading alone, there are 3 bullshit moments at least that are explained away with Tomio helped us. And I'm like, I don't know why she can do that. I guess she can just do whatever because she's a doctor and she's got Nezuko's magic blood, which is
Yeah.
magic because
That
They
she's
still haven't
working on it.
explained.
She's working on it. We're trying to figure out why Nezuko can, walk in daylight and how she's apparently like evolved to the next echelon of
Wait.
demonhood.
yeah, when we get to it, I've got some theories that are not going to be very helpful, but I think I know where they're going with this. But we'll get there.
She is the demon Jesus.
Tamio is like, haha, if you strike me down, I will only become stronger because I've developed a poison that turns demons back into people. Stab! You really think that'll work on me? I'm basically Dracula from the original Bram Stoker novel. I'm insanely OP. I don't care! We've got plans within plans. And then the Hashira show up and start gang stomping him.
I like the vibe of the scene. Like the way that Tamio's character works is fine. It's just her Deus Ex Machinas that are the problem. I really like her being like, because like Muzan gives a yeah, didn't you kill your family? You killed a bunch of people too. Yes, and that is why I am going to die to take you down with me. Like I appreciate that.
And like we find out that Stone Hashira had been told by the leader of the Corps that this was the plan, and his whole goal was just keep the other Hashira nearby so that they can come in when he is dead and like use this final gambit of I can only presume they dropped the protection so that Muzan could go and find them, and they knew Muzan was looking for him because Nezuko, like, learning to walk into the sun was, like, the final catalyst that meant, like, "Oh, we don't have to play this stupid game anymore." Because it doesn't seem like Muzan cared that the Demon Slayer Corps existed at all, because they were never really a threat to him.
Mm.
They're still not really a threat to him. At least he doesn't seem to think they are. He was just, go give me Nezuko. You're not going to give me Nezuko. Well,
Guess I'll kill you then. Oh wait.
Does Muzan even need to consume like human flesh to the same extent that all of his like
Muzan doesn't need to do anything other
Yeah.
than not go in the sunlight. Muzan is bullshit, which is, I can accept that.
He's not individually a problem. He created a problem, but he himself is not a problem.
Muzan just can do whatever, and I'm fine because he is a force of nature in this story.
Right.
Like that's fine. He is the man at the crossroads. Like the devil can grant you all the powers you want. Fine, he represents evil. Like I don't need a bounding box on what Muzan can do. That is not necessary for my enjoyment. Tomio being able to do whatever the fuck she wants is just kind of like, oh,
It's one of those ones where like I think just enough legwork is that because one of the big things about Muzan as a character is that he is a very typical tyrant. Because again, he is a representation of evil, like in a very broadly applicable sense. And one of the big things is he doesn't see the Demon Slayer Corps as a threat because he's far too powerful for them, of course. But he's also terrified of death and they're opposing him and they might be able to do something. So if he sees an opportunity to get rid of their leader, he'll take it. It's sort of an internal contradiction of his displays of arrogance are actually displays of like his fear of death and thereby cowardice.
Mm-hmm.
But like it's not like it's one of those ones where if Demon Slayer was better in other areas, I wouldn't even feel the need to defend it because it doesn't have to be the main aspect of the character. But like so many parts of Demon Slayer are so thin that it's like the fact that I have to explain that is kind of a problem because that's sort of like a basic character thing that but like what am I supposed to focus on otherwise events are just happening and they don't really mean anything.
Events do just be happening.
Oh, but yeah, we do get all the Hashira dog piling on Muzan,
which is fun because literally only one of them was bought in to the plan, which was Stone Hashira, Buddhist man. Meanwhile, everyone else is just in pure rage mode. The plan is to just dogpile him until the sun rises because decapitation doesn't work on him.
Sure, why not? It hasn't worked on like the last 4 people, so.
Decapitation doesn't work on Muzan. That's the important part. So we need to have him be held in place until the sun rises. And then he's just like, ha, idiots, I open the MC Escher dimension.
And we get our Infinity Castles for our arc title.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And all the Hashira are trapped inside, and I can only assume Muzan absorbed all the other demon lords into his blood when he came to this building, because they're also all in this castle with him.
So how that works is like we get a bit of a glimpse in how he like summons them. And my understanding is he can summon them quite literally, like not necessarily in his blood, but they can literally like materialize whenever he summons them. Like they
So-
do that.
Yes, characters in Demon Slayer will materialize wherever the plot needs them. Correct.
Yeah, I'm just saying it doesn't have to make sense, but they
So
make it very thematic, I guess.
I know I'm not going to get a satisfying explanation, but I just want to ask this question. So if he can just teleport his demons to him,
Mm-hmm.
why doesn't
Yes.
he just teleport Nezuko to him? Because he could
So-
feel her the second she gained the power to be in the sun, so...
But isn't that the thing? Like the thing he's irritated about is the fact that he has like waning control over Nezuko.
He
Like
he doesn't have...
He's
doesn't
able
have
to control everyone except her, and I think the reason why is like why.
Oh, that's right, because he can head explode his own guys.
Yeah.
And he can't do that to Nezuko or Tamayo.
He doesn't want to kill Nezuko is the thing.
Yeah, but I mean, like the whole enigma is that he's not able to control her, and he's like, why can't I control this one demon?
Well, yeah, but he just controls everyone else through fear. It's not like he marionettes them like a puppet.
Well, also his blood, like directly they're like fed his blood and sometimes his flesh, like directly from the source.
He's in their head, but it's still psychological control, not direct physical control.
Or metaphysical.
Unless he can teleport them to him, which may be his power. We're not sure. I guess they could have also just been waiting in the wings. It's a little unclear.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think Demon Slayer by this point knows what it's good at and is really only just, does this facilitate the cool action set piece? Yes. Then we're not explaining any further, which
Fair.
is not a good way to write, but at least it got the good parts of this manga going.
We have all of the Hashira in the Infinity Castle, where they are just murking random filler demons.
I love how it's the same random filler demons, too. It's just like, here's a crowd of people. There's one big head guy, one snake guy, 2 tiny guys.
People, guy with bunch of eyes.
Yep. Oh!
They're the mass-produced factory models.
So a whole bunch of those guys get killed. All the Hashira are like, I can't believe Muzan killed the master. I'm gonna pick him up for that. Or, oh, master intentionally sacrificed himself and told none of us. That makes me really angry. I'm gonna fuck up Muzan because he's the thing I can take my anger out on. And also, Inosuke's here, which had me flipping back and forth like, when the
Inosuke just shows up whenever.
Was Inosuke not in the Hashira training arc?
He was in the Hashira training arc, but we only saw the
Like in blip.
Hashiras
Well, we did see Tanjiro jumping in, so I guess Inosuke was just behind him.
Tanjiro was making his way back to Bayashiki Manor with the rest of the Hashiras.
He became very chummy and very broy with each of the Hashira, and that whole training arc where he's like, yeah, Tanjiro, you're getting really strong, and it's a whole bunch of friendship building and blah blah blah, and literally Inosuke and Zenitsu were in the background that whole time.
I guess, but the thing that's really fucking with me is they weren't physically there when Muzan opened the Escher dimension. It was just the Hashiras and why is Ginya, Zenitsu, Inosuke, Kanao, why are they all
good questions, Sam.
Listen, the Hashira training arc was so boring that we all just blocked it out of our minds, and it totally explained all of this, I'm sure.
You know what? I buy that. Let's get to Shinobu's fight.
Everyone's favorite girl, Shinobu, who I really wish I could differentiate from her sister.
Yeah, and they
have different
related, right? Or they are.
No, I don't know.
You were about to say they have different hair clips and then second guessed yourself. Wait, maybe
They do have different hair clips. They do. They're just from the same butterfly house.
It does I don't remember. I think we had been told at some point, but it doesn't matter because the demon questions their familial connection because he doesn't understand their like the emotional connection. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb bond that they have.
Because they've all been blessed in the way of our Lord Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Right, exactly.
That makes them the most pure family of all. man, Muzan is fucked the second Christian missionaries come to Japan.
Yep.
Wait, no,
that's what this is all building up to.
Yeah,
the Portuguese have definitely been here.
They got guns.
This is at least during or post Meiji Restoration. The Portuguese have been here.
We got trains. We got choo-choos.
You're right. The Portuguese have their guns that can kill demons, and they're like, wait, you've just been sending children with those swords? We just shoot them with our guns. It works really well.
What's wrong with you?
But yeah, so Doma is the first demon we run into, who is the upper rank 2 Kizuku. His whole aesthetic is kind of like pretty boy,
yes,
because it's pretty boy obsessed with beauty.
Not beauty in like an abstract sense.
Yeah.
Not boy band beauty.
He's the bishop of the Chalcedony Tharib, because I have to get in my exalted reference. His whole thing is he wants to eat people in order to have them be absorbed into him, and they will be happy because they are no longer alive and therefore a suffering existence.
It's like a nurse Ratchet type thing.
Yeah.
They're not suffering.
He's happy and he's eaten them, so that means they're happy. Transitive property.
I think there's also like a whole bit with his backstory about how he was born into this cult that kind of just worshipped him as a like holy figure, but he felt nothing. And he felt nothing on the inside. So he has like this deep internal thing that there is nothing after life and death, and that all religions must be a lie because his was, and it like is very clear to him because he was the source of it. So what he's doing is he's sparing people from non-existence because they can at least be a part of him.
Exactly.
And he is immortal and super strong. So he's like, this is great. You also can have 2 transitive properties be immortal and super strong. And isn't that great?
Kind of, but like a whole thing about him is he's also like a compulsive liar.
Yeah,
and like everything he says is basically just not true.
He was born as a shiny Pokemon with sparkly eyes and gray hair, so his parents were like, that surely means he's blessed by God. Let's make him the messiah of our cult. And he's like, I don't understand anything about emotion. Religion seems fake. This is really cringe. But I guess I'll keep humoring their delusions because it makes people happy and gives me power. I'm gonna become a demon.
Yeah, and they make a real particular point of he was already a monster before he became a demon. That was just a natural progression of
He's like the worst kind of 2012 Reddit atheist, sociopath, and like a pretty boy all mashed into one.
all of
So
the
it's got
greatest evils.
he's got like weird like I want to absorb beautiful women because they are the prettiest.
Yeah,
Like it's a whole thing. But
his
He's meant to be
power.
creepy. Like
Yeah,
yeah. No,
his power is
100%.
interesting. He's very
Yeah,
creepy.
he's got ice powers, but it's manifested as like lotuses because he's got like a vaguely Buddhist kind of aesthetic from his
I
cult,
would say
presumably.
almost his entire like aesthetic is very Buddhist. Like it's a Buddhist type esque cult.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep, and his main power is ice that he forms into flowers and like shatters the blood into like an icy mist that goes into your. They really fucking love this like shards of ice in the air get inhaled and cut up your lungs, which is shit we're just constantly told is happening. And I'm just like, we could just have shown an X-ray
That's
shot to show that their
it's just
lungs are getting cut up.
normally that's the kind of thing the Demon Slayer is actually kind of good at, but
We,
listen. I also think that Frostbite was too powerful in Elden Ring. You didn't need to make a demon whose entire build was centered around freezing.
we also find out that Shinobu's got a personal connection with this demon because this is the demon that killed her older sister.
who was the Hashira before her?
hmm And there was a whole thing of she's like, "I will avenge you, sister," and she's like, "Maybe not. Maybe, maybe you
Maybe
should.
just be happy.
You getting yourself killed fighting this guy isn't gonna make me feel better."
He's
Like,
really fucking strong, sis. Maybe just don't.
sister didn't believe in me. She's like, "No, I knew the thing that you find out immediately in this fight is this guy is too strong for poisons to work on and needs to have his head cut off. You cannot cut someone's head off. That's your whole thing." And I'm like, what an interesting way to go with her character, that her entire philosophy of fighting was just wrong.
Or it had a very it had, you could say, a glass ceiling of
Quite literally.
Yeah, it's interesting the way that this fight is structured because this fight is done in two parts, and the first part really does feel incredibly mean spirited. Like it feels incomplete.
Which it kind of is, because
Yeah, and that's why it's done in two parts. And I was all set up to complain about this. There's more to it than first appears because Shinobu is very specifically and directly hard countered by this
this
particular
guy.
opponent because like she's beaten incredibly like I think she's beaten lower ranked Kizuki before. Like she's not weak, but like this one in particular, it's like someone of this level is just out, like out of her league.
There's also like a kind of brief comment from him that they had been warned about her poisons too, so she doesn't even get the element of surprise which she normally depends on. So
Mhm.
he's just like, "Oh, that's what they were telling me about. Well, I'm just going to focus on healing that at the moment." Yeah, and so I mean, she doesn't know about his technique, which is kind of also like a kind of poison in that she inhales like the shards of ice and they're cutting her up from the inside. So it's interesting that she's kind of suffering from her own techniques here, or like
Yeah.
the counter of that. And then he has a whole thing about like, yes, I remember your sister. And then he gives the most vague description that could have fit any woman. And I'm like, oh, so he's just lying. He doesn't remember anyone he's killed. Like,
Yeah.
and I think Shinobu's like calls him on that. And it's like, I don't
Yeah.
care. I'm getting my vengeance. Like it.
Well, that's the thing.
My vengeance.
It's because like he just kind of exposes the fact that, and I think the thing is he could remember. He definitely, because we already understand the transitive property with demons exists where they're able to like absorb some of the thoughts, emotions, and some of even the techniques of humans they consume. It's just he just does not view that as important.
Yeah, he doesn't care. Like he could remember her. He doesn't care enough to try.
Yeah. And I think that was very, I want to say, very poignant throughout this entire reading of just how he has somewhat weaponized his like sociopathy. It's just
Yeah, because he absolutely, and again, this is one of those ones where it's like this fight works really well in two parts because it seems like he's in absolute control of his opponent's emotions too. And we'll get to it when we get to the second part of the fight, but like it turns out that like it becomes arrogance and a blind spot for him that he doesn't realize that he's the one getting played. But at this point, it just seems like, oh, well, I guess everything that we followed with Shinobu up to this point was pointless because she just got absorbed.
And I kind of like it. I like the gall of starting off a big multi-fight arc with this, with like a beloved character dying. I
Yeah.
think that like you need to have stakes, and the first fight being Shinobu being outclassed and on her own when really none of these people should be running around solo is kind of like,
Yeah.
but Shinobu got outclassed because she was angry and fought off, which is weird because there's a whole tangent about how like righteous anger is what everyone's using to fuel themselves, but Shinobu kind of got herself into trouble with it. But she gets eaten, and her sister.
I'm gonna save the sauce for later.
Okay. Yeah, and her sister comes in through the door and like witnesses what I didn't fully understand was happening until I like flipped back and reread it. It's her like being sucked into his body, and I'm like, oh my god, Demon Slayer doesn't normally go that hard, but it's just like, oh, okay, so she's kind of like she is being eaten, and like, oh, okay, yeah, she messed up, and I'm just reading this going like, oh, so the poison husher is being eaten. I'm sure this will come up later. Like,
surely this won't go wrong for the bad guy.
Obviously.
it's not even like really spoilers because Tomio just did the exact same thing. Was like, oh, Muzan, you absorbed my hand, but what was in my hand? A ton of poison. God damn it, not again.
Idiot who just ate poison says what? What? No!
I'm going to be perfectly honest. I was not paying enough attention to realize how obvious that was. I did not give Demon Slayer that much credit.
Because it's like very lowbrow, like, oh, he's so arrogant to not even accept the consequences of doing something so stupid.
Doma's going full on like JoJo vampire of just observing Shinobu through his clothing, like just like osmosising her into his body.
Yeah, it's the thing where, like, what Matt was saying about, like, having that, like, killing a beloved character to set stakes in a series like this. Again, especially considering Demon Slayer started off a lot grittier and a lot less standard shonen. Like, the thing that kind of bugged me was, butterfly. The thing that kind of bugged me was, like, the mean-spiritedness of it. But, like, that ends up, like, being... That ends up teeing up the second half of the fight, so... Yeah, it's one of those ones where it's like, I think it got funnily enough, even though I wasn't paying enough attention to see the super obvious foreshadowing, it did set up the correct emotions. Because, like, again, Demon Slayer, it absolutely has places where it shines, and the vibes of the fight were, I believe, exactly as intended. Because like you're supposed to kind of feel like frustrated and a little bit cheated that this character lost so easily.
Yeah, and it's like it's a big whammy. It has some resonance. And then we get to the next fight, which I'm just gonna pull back the curtain here. The entire cast, sans Jay, but we've been over Jay read the wiki. All had a combination reaction of who the fuck is Kaigaku?
Who?
We had no idea who this dude was. Jacob was pretty sure he was alluded to earlier, but like
the idea of a character who he could have been had been previously alluded to in Zenitsu's backstory. This character did not exist until now.
But the manga is just like, Zenitsu's like, Kaigaku, my sworn rival. Did you know Grandpa killed himself over your dishonor? And we're like, did we reach the climax of a story we didn't read? Is there a side story called the Zenitsu Chronicles that we didn't? Fuck, is there a side story called the Zenitsu Chronicles that we didn't read?
Zenitsu no Yaiba.
God. Oh my god, that's another thing is end of volume like synopsis notes for like the physical volumes not in the Shonen Jump app have like crucial information at points.
Which is not a good way to tell a story.
It's a really cool fight, and my boy Zenitsu gets some time to shine, but it's against a dude that feels like we should have had lead up to. And even
Yeah.
the flashbacks kind of do double duty to tell you who this guy is. But like
It
it's
makes
kind
it
of
even more obvious that he's not shown up until this point.
it would almost be
Yeah.
better if you had less of the flashbacks and more of just them talking to each other. Like
And it sucks so much because there's like legitimately good character moments in this. Oh, I also don't want this to go unmentioned. We learned that Master Ubayashiki had more family than the kids that he killed in that suicide bombing.
Oh,
Oh.
yes, it's nonsense.
that's how the crows still work and are communicating that Shinobu died to everybody. Yeah, because he's got a younger son and 2 younger daughters. And
Who was
this is my
totally in the manga. The son was totally in the manga.
yeah, the end of volume notes mention, by the way, this son was shown in volume, in volume 1 where they had like that big ceremony before the Demon Slayer like exam or whatever.
On
You
the
know how there
mountain?
was a bunch of on the mountain? You know how there were a bunch of daughters dancing around? He was dressed as one of the daughters. Why?
Eh.
Well, no, it then does explain Muzan was looking for his heir, and I'm like, I don't think that was true. I don't think Muzan, as I said earlier, I don't think Muzan gave a shit about the Demon Core's existence. It didn't seem like he was more concerned with finding out how to live forever.
But the bit more important part is he's got some weird alchemy like sigil piece of paper taped to his forehead, giving him a third eye. So him and his 2 little sisters can map the MC Escher nightmare of the Infinity Soul and also live report on the status of various battles like they're UFC commenters.
Yeah, and I'm just like, how do you have this place? And I love how they give the cop out of, oh, well, obviously, given the circumstances, they had to grow up very fast. And I'm like,
This boy is 7. Like it's insane.
His
canonically.
dad died at
Which,
28.
if you do the math, yeah, that's the thing. If you do the math, because that's when he first has the opportunity to meet the oldest Hashira. Like he meets when he's like 15 and the Hashira is like 18. He's like, yeah, he seemed very mature for his age. And I'm like, dude is 15 and you're telling me that immediately this guy was already married and was starting to have kids at 15
He had at least 2 children at 15 is the insane thing. Like
which is
It's
not
one of those ones
impossible,
where-
it's just damn.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where had some of these plot points been planned earlier and been implemented into the story in a more natural way, like Demon Slayer needs like this feels like a first draft.
Hey kid, your dad just suicide bombed himself, your mom, and your 2 older sisters. I need you to go into spectator mode and live commentate the fights to every other still alive protagonist.
the 2 older sisters needed to be playing ball in the yard so Muzan didn't suspect anything. Which actually, very on point. If those 2 kids hadn't been there, Muzan would have suspected more.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, the fact is that he kept like the kids in the dark about that particular plan.
I don't think so.
They're not clear about that. I think Muzan is like, did the kids even know?
Well, that's because he says in an aside to he says specifically to the Hashira, he's like, I haven't told anyone of this plan, but I'm gonna use myself as bait.
They leave it ambiguous, so how much you like the character doesn't get affected by the fact that he suicide bombed his entire family. Well, not entire family, but a chunk of his family. In a better series, I think it would have been more interesting to litigate whether or not the wife and the daughters, like, I think the wife, whether or not the wife literally knew, I think the wife suspected what was happening, but
Yeah,
whether or not the
but
daughters
they weren't,
knew,
like,
it's
explicitly told of this is the plan. You
Guys.
guys are going to.
This is Demon Slayer. Of course, the explanation is they all knew and hated Muzan and all agreed because they are all pure efforts of chaos and
We are united in hating Muzan.
they are all pure agents of morality and no one has any faults in them. So they all like made a universal decision that this was the way the plan needed to work.
Yep.
All right, so now that we're all in spectator mode, let's zoom into Zenitsu fighting This
That
guy.
The cinematic Marvel universe movie would be Zenitsu fighting this dude, because it's, what if Zenitsu was evil and knew more techniques and also had fire powers, I think is what his demon blood art is.
So what if Zenitsu was interesting?
Shut your mouth.
Well,
I will say
see,
it is
here's the
nice to see
thing.
like fully fledged Zenitsu.
Yeah, here's
I
the
feel
thing.
like they speed ran some of his character
Because we
development, but
really
this is a
only have
great
like
endpoint
two
for him.
modes. We have goofball scaredy cat Zenitsu, and then we have locked into Zenitsu. I enjoy locked in Zenitsu, but this gives him some extra character, some fleshing out that
Well,
is.
I mean, that's been his entire character, though, has been he has two modes. Like, he is a
Mhm.
goofball, and then he locks into battle.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, Zenitsu's character arc has been pretty darn good. I feel like there's like a chunk of the second act of Zenitsu's character arc that's a little bit fast. That might have something to do with a part of that having happened during the Hashira training arc, which was so painfully boring I have purged it from my mind.
Nah, Zenitsu was just canonically hitting
On Nezuko.
on Nezuko, like, in the volume panels of, the Hashira training arc.
uh, but yeah, no, this is some great locked in Zenitsu here.
Yeah, the thing that kills me is this is some great locked in Zenitsu. He has legitimately awesome character development moments. He has an extremely hard line of him and his opponent are still trading in before they draw swords. He's like, damn, you're real proud of becoming a Kiseki because everyone else died.
That's such a good line.
You're very thrilled to have reached the very bottom of the upper rank by filling blank positions.
And that's such a great line coming from Zenitsu specifically, because like Zenitsu as a character, like his archetype, like the idea of his character is he's the guy who got to the position that he's in because it kept getting filled by people that like, and like we've seen Zenitsu like he ended up sort of like falling backwards into the position that he's in like in the story. And then standing in that position, he's grown into that space and earned it. Like he might have gotten this because he got struck by lightning and had a debt that he had to pay. But by this point, he has proven that he's put in the work and he's proven himself completely. And here's this other character who we are informed what his story is at this point. And this would have been a lot of really good information to have earlier on. And I don't know, maybe some slower paced stories filling out the story. Hint, hint.
I didn't even feel like the flashback was necessary. It could have been a line of dialogue, because the flashback can basically be summarized is, the first time I had to fight a stronger demon, I immediately bent over and submitted to them.
Mm.
Like, that's all that
Alright.
happened. And then, like,
We're learning things about Matt every day.
Kaigetsu, the second he fought a demon he couldn't beat, he was like, wait, please don't kill me. I don't kill me. Give me immortality, please. And the demon, who's definitely not Tanjiro's ancestor, gave him a whole bunch of Musan blood, and so he became a demon. And then Zenitsu's tutor committed seppuku because, damn, the guy I was training joined the enemy. That is so shitty. I'm going to do honorable suicide, except I don't have a second, so I'm only doing the belly carving part of it. So I'm going to die in terrible agony. And Zenitsu is real pissed about that. Kaigetsu is not, because he's so extremely practically minded. He legitimately convinces himself that so long as I'm still alive, I could get strong enough that I can beat the guy that beat me before. I'm totally going to do that.
He's using pragmatism as an excuse to not put himself at risk ultimately.
And the whole thing is that he learned every thunder breathing form except for first form, and Zenitsu only learned first form. That's kind of the dichotomy here.
There's another really hard line from Zenitsu of how sad it is for our master that us two losers are the successors he had to try to train.
Yeah, right?
Yep. And it's great because Zenitsu just gets a whole thing about, like, yeah, I only learned the first form, but I don't think you're understanding. The first form was like the foundation on which all other techniques were built. So all your other techniques suck, and you had to like supplement them with whatever this demon fire magic is going on. I don't know. You just keep shooting lightning out of your katana.
You shoot lightning out of your katana. It looks real cool. It's hurting me real bad, but it's not beating me. So I'm going to show you that I, Zenitsu Agatsuma, have developed a new technique. Thunder breathing 7th form, Honokazuchi no Kami, which was sick as fuck.
It was. Because
Period.
it's just his normal technique, but with like a lightning dragon curled around the blade, and I'm just like, damn, that's hardcore.
Yeah.
Unless the magic is just a metaphor, in which case I don't understand how this is a different technique.
It is straight up the Dragon Fist from Dragon Ball GT. What is the Dragon Fist? Goku yells Dragon Fist and throws a punch, and then Shenron appears and punches a guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's as well explained as the sword breathing techniques in Demon Slayer.
So Zenitsu wins this fight, which is super cool. I did really like the moment where Zenitsu is like on the edge of life and death, and he has a panel of him like across the river, you know, the Sanzu River, shouting to Grandpa like, "I'm so sorry. I tried so hard to get along with Kaigetsu. I know that like we were both your students and you wanted us to work together and grow stronger together. I tried as hard as I could, but he's just such a..." His tutor's like, "I'm proud of you, Zenitsu.
That kid was a dick.
And you're
I-
cool as hell."
I think I can summarize. This is a really cool Zenitsu moment, but like everything with the guy he's fighting and the technique at the end, and a lot of how this is set up feels like an episode of Zenitsu filler.
Kinda, yeah.
Because you're like, it's like when you get into like a 2000s shonen anime and they get so far along and they realize all the side characters have just gotten forgotten and it becomes the Tanjiro show. And they're like, well, here's a filler arc where Zenitsu finds an old rival and the reason why his grandpa died. Didn't his grandpa just die of old age or a broken heart or something? No, he killed himself now. We've decided that. It's like,
It is seppuku because his student became a demon.
yeah, sure, why not?
Ugh.
And then you learn the Rainbow Sharingan, which is
Which will never show up again because that's anime only.
The extra super cool Rasengan from that one movie where they had Gatling guns on a train.
I also remember the movie where they introduced machine guns, and I'm like, why are the ninjas fighting with Sharingan? Like,
This raises so many questions. You know, unfortunately, it's the anime filler is the reason why Demon Slayer overcorrected in the other direction, which ultimately, funnily enough, created the exact same fucking problem.
anyway, Zenitsu then falls to his death because apparently this technique completely drains him of energy. I
Well,
guess.
he'd also been beat to hell.
Yeah.
he'd
Oh, also,
beat the hell.
it wasn't strongly indicated, but I'm pretty sure Kaigaku's blood art is he creates wounds that kind of like burn and extend. So if one cut goes, it keeps burning and growing.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, cuts
Yeah.
cuts that continue to cut further, which is cool, and I kind of wish we got a more extended fight out of it.
No, actually, the fight that we got was the perfect length. Like
It was.
this scene, this like that section again. Like you could probably drop the flashback, but like this section of the story was great. We needed other fights with this character to establish that power set, so it could come due here.
Yeah, because this
exactly.
whole fight is really Zenitsu kind of like just talking to this guy, getting the shit like knocked into him, and finally going, "This isn't getting negotiated," and one-shotting him. Like,
Zenitsu
I
defeats
tried.
evil Zenitsu.
My super secret special dragon technique.
I think he has used that before.
Did he?
he use that?
Oh, maybe.
I think
It
he's-
was in a recent arc. I don't think it was the Hashira training arc. I think it was the one before that.
You know what?
I-
You might be right, actually.
I think this is the first time this form has been named, but he's kind of been building towards it.
I knew that technique was being built too. I remembered that distinctly. It's really cool that it's built on a foundation of sand, unfortunately. Welcome to Demon Slayer.
Oh, are you thinking of first form Godspeed that he uses in like the entertainment district where he moves so fast like a trail of lightning follows him?
It might be that one, yeah.
I might be thinking of that, and I think that was like in the process of getting developed into what we see here.
Well, because he has one technique. Every time he's like gotten a power boost with it, it's gotten like slightly cooler. This is the first time where he's got a new technique that is just
Yeah,
the same technique.
yeah.
I did like the end of this where like the recursive nature of the Infinity Palace means that Kaigatsu he's got his head severed, so he's dying, but he's watching Zenitsu fall and he's like, ha, he can't save himself. He's gonna fall to his death. That means I didn't. And then Tamio's assistant, I forget his name, but the demon boy, he's like, damn, sure sucks to be so selfish that you never ever made anything that was worth preserving. Sucks to suck, die alone, you idiot. And he catches Zenitsu and saves him from the fall damage. And I'm just like, damn, that's hard as shit.
He could have just rescued Zenitsu, but no, he had to be like, nope, you're dying alone, bitch. What?
No, he had to roast that guy, and I respect it.
Believe it or not, other than a single panel of explaining that Tamio's apprentice has to pretend to be a human boy to walk around with all these demon slayers, but they can't detect that because he was born of Tamio and not of Muzan, so their demon detecting powers don't work on him for some reason. Believe it or not, we're halfway through the reading.
I also like Vampire the Masquerade and all the different vampire bloodlines.
Me too. What's your favorite?
The Nosferatu.
Nosferatu is really good. Jay hates Nosferatu.
I like being a scringly scrungless moving around in the sewers.
I like Bruja.
Bruja's fun.
Indulge in the beast.
That's being a vampire, or that's being a werewolf without playing werewolf.
Yeah.
Oh,
anyway,
look at Jay just
I need to
backing
get-
off, admitting to being a Ventru. We heard that.
Yeah.
We know who you are.
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to get Vampire the Masquerade now.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Pretty cheap at Books A Million. Anyway, we're going to go on break. We'll be right back with the run back of the century after this. And welcome back to the show, folks, where last we left in the left corner, it is the Water and his apprentice, the main character Tanjiro, versus Akaza, upper rank 3, back from his victory lap of killing the shit out of Rengoku.
What is the timeline between those two deaths? I want to say, because we had that whole arc, I want to say like a month.
It's been a year, I thought.
A
I
year?
think it's been a year.
Damn.
It has been an adequate amount of time for it to be narratively and emotionally resonant.
Because I believe Tanjiro alone has been through 3 training arcs since then.
Yeah.
Because his recovery arc turned into a training arc. Then there was another training arc at the Swordsmith village. And then the Hashira training arc happened.
Our favorite arc of anything.
Yeah, because the timeline is hard to like really pin down because given the urgency of all these recent developments, it's like were they given enough like time that this would feasibly be given time to breathe, or is it in a state of urgency that they're quite literally throwing everything they have at the board now, where it's like literally these are like weeks at a time? I don't know.
The sort of unfortunate thing is that we do Demon Slayer episodes so infrequently, which wouldn't be a problem if the actual like arcs and timeline and story elements were memorable, but because it's so rushed, they're not. So it's very easy to forget details like that.
Also, to be clear, if we were reading this week to week, we'd be in a very similar situation. Like,
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, rematch of the century because we all loved Mugen Train, and this is the guy. This is the guy from Mugen Train. Everyone loves him. He's the best of all of the Kizuki. I'm sure you want to know more about this guy. I want to, every time he's not on screen, I want to be asking, where is Asuka? Is clearly what the manga thinks I care about this guy with. Like, holy shit.
So we do have a brief interlude where it's like, the the new heads of the Obayashiki family are continuing to map out the map in spectator mode because this is COD. Sound Hashira and Rengoku's replacement are sitting watch. And also Nezuko is having fever because she's turning back into a human, and Tengu Mask guy, whose name I forgot, Tanjiro's original master, is caring for her.
I really hope they did that on screen, and I'm just forgetting that it happened in the Hashira training arc, because if they turned Nezuko human off screen...
Well, that was the
she
thing.
took the medicine to turn her back human, and she's still going through the transformation or the meat sweats.
Could be either one. We don't know.
That was the medicine. It was just concentrated bacon.
That's the secret.
Then it's bacon flavored. Yay.
Yay. But we get into the actual fight of Akaza versus Tanjiro and Giyu.
Some absolutely spectacular choreography. I feel like doing a play-by-play is doing it a disservice. Check it out, and boy, it's going to be freaking amazing animated.
Yeah, this fight reminded me why I liked Demon Slayer once upon a time. This felt very much like people pushing, like regular human people doing everything in the power of their body to take on something far beyond them.
And then there's a whole bit with how Asuka's like sensing where they are, and he says, yes, I can sense your fighting spirit. And Tanjiro just has a memory where he's just like, man, it's always been kind of bullshit how I can smell people's emotions. Maybe I'm just sensing fighting spirit. No, that's dumb. That's not what's happening. And I'm like,
100% just has the sense of just smelling whatever.
You can
smelling
smell
ideas.
So he can smell whatever he wants. I don't care.
It's weird. Because like Akaza can sense fighting spirit is what, because while Giyu is busy fighting him, Tanjiro is having a moment of, doing calculations. He's watching Thaw. And he remembers that Akaza mentioned fighting spirit during the battle with Rengoku, which triggers a memory of him talking with Inosuke, where Inosuke's like, yeah, I can sense killing intent. So if somebody's coming at me with the intent to kill me, I can dodge them perfectly. Which is why I couldn't notice that little old lady up on me, because she didn't want to kill me.
Wow, what useful information for fighting demons. Oh, it's like, you have to want to kill demons.
Yeah.
But what if?
And Tanjiro, I don't know, he can smell pheromones or something, so he gets a lot of power. But it's like, okay, I kind of understand this, like, fight autist sixth sense thing that Akaza has. How do I beat it? By attaining fight autist's seventh sense.
Yep, basically.
By having a flashback with his father, which brings up so many fucking questions.
I mean, they had me with like, okay, he had like this moment where he was spending time with his dad. He goes a little bit more into detail of his dad was very sick, and his dad was very he mentions that there was like a threat of a bear attack on the village or family or whatever. And
audience, for those of you who didn't read, I want to impress upon you, this is a flashback that takes a chapter and a half.
Yeah.
And like the first half of it, I'm only interjecting, Jay, because you started on to the point that I really don't like. But like, I liked the first part of it because it's about his dad slowly declining and saying like, it's okay, I'm still able to do the ceremonial dance because it is so second nature to me. I have cut out all the fluff, and even in my weekend state, like my experience with doing the technique is still something I can handle because I have minimized the amount of effort this takes by cutting every corner to do only what is necessary with my body. And because I am an expert in this, I can do this technique. And I'm like, wow, what a really cool thing to do, like the fucking nonsense he's going to explain in a shonen battle. But that's like shonen. That's great.
Yeah. This is like Goku climbing Korin's tower, Dragon Ball.
Yeah, or like with the bell. The other thing I like about this is like he mentions that you have to go into the detail and push your body and do all that hard stuff. to get to the point where you can get where I am.
You have to know what is necessary and what can be cut before you start cutting things. Like it.
Yeah. It's really cool.
It also perfectly explains what Tanjiro ends up doing in the fight that we don't need the half that Jay was about to explain. And man, does that part just bring up questions. Jay, what was going on with that bear?
So this bear had been rampaging like the village or whatever. They set up like a bell alarm system to like notify it. But the bear was lurking one night and didn't even set off the alert system. But Tanjiro's dad, being the
Protagonist.
the protagonist, was able to immediately sense there was a bear, and he needed to protect his family. And even in his weakest state, he's like, nope, I gotta be the man of the house. I'm gonna do this. Tanjiro, I need you to follow me. And they go out to confront this bear. And
He has a conversation with it.
yes, he does have a conversation, and it's just like, listen, you're not gonna win. No. And then
He's
yeah.
clearly a Minecraft speedrunner because he knows that the axe has critical hits on jump.
Something golden combo-y.
Yeah, I mean this would be at a prime time for there to be some kind of lame crossover, I guess.
Yeah, so regardless, I just want to clarify. Tanjiro's aging father, who is decrepit and bedridden, and we get confirmed in the dialogue, is 10 days away from dying of just wasting away.
Dying to death disease.
So to clarify, his dad is not old. His dad has dying to death disease.
His dad's almost worse than old. Like he's
because I mean the parents aren't really that old. No one is old in this universe unless you are like a sage or something.
Regardless, Tanjiro's been sitting on this memory where his aging father on his deathbed, who was too sick to work for like years, got up in the middle of the night, walked up stood to a bear twice his size.
That he just sensed in the middle of the night. This bear did not make any noise. It was just there.
With a rusty axe, talks to him, and then decapitates this bear as if it were nothing, and then goes back to bed. And this has just been a thing Tanjiro knew happened and has never brought up before.
Tanjiro, I want to know more about your dad. This is something that you just buried deep and apparently forgot about. I want to know about the stuff that was like, wow.
What do you mean about my father? He was just a sick man the entire time I knew him. Except for 10 days before he died, he decapitated a bear and you were there to witness it, Tanjiro? This seems like you should remember.
Yes.
A bear whose head was as thick as a human torso.
Yes.
And the big thing is, this being a big reveal, this being like a shocking moment isn't the problem. But like if it was alluded to that like Tanjiro has this like buried memory about his father, that there was like more to him than it seemed.
But no, it's unnecessary because we had already got Tanjiro learns like sixth sense, like how to calm himself before attacking, but he learned that from his father explaining the dance, not from watching his dad kill a bear. Like that has nothing to do with the fighting instinct. That was just like, by the way, my dad killed a bear while he was 10 days away from death. He's actually super cool.
Yeah, the chapter needed a couple extra action panels.
Sure. Yeah, why not? But like this was unneeded motivation. It just has me asking questions because the first time Tanjiro's father is brought up, he kind of barely remembers him because he was like such a non-issue in their house. Like he kind of just wasted away and like was just sleeping in a room and like he slept all the time. So Tanjiro didn't have like clear memories of him. But now he's got a vivid memory of his dad getting up and murdering a bear.
Like he's an endgame and Arthur Morgan from Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
There are better ways to have there are better ways to have disseminated this information, like the first half of the flashback.
And then the flashback could have been half as long.
Which would have been a positive for this manga, which has started having flashbacks longer than the actual arcs.
Oh man. Did we mention that Rengoku's like youngest brother who's working in the library found a secret technique that was told by the first sun breathing Hashira, but it was of how
Oh
his
my
technique
God.
failed while fighting Muzan, so it would throw anyone else into despair, but Tanjiro has hope, so he will know, but he has not read this note yet. And then the like fucking like synopsis box comes up. Tanjiro has not read this note yet, and it's tied to a raven, and I'm like, okay, so Tanjiro is gonna barely survive this fight, and then he's gonna read this note that's gonna give him the power up he needs to explain why he can suddenly fight Muzan. Sure, why not? Like I'm calling that now because why else lead that MacGuffin or not MacGuffin, Chekhov's gun.
I legitimately forgot about that until you just mentioned it.
No, yeah, I remember that. That's
Let's lay it on thick.
they don't even really phrase it like it's a technique, even though that's obviously what it's going to be.
It's something that's gonna reveal a technique.
It is a technique, but they talk around it like it's going to be some kind of twist. It's
It
not.
the way it's phrased, it's like the sun breathing Hasura telling why his technique failed to kill Muzan and how Muzan's immortal or something. But Tanjiro is gonna read it a different way and be like, "Oh no, it didn't work because he didn't do this. But I'm
Mhm.
the best, and I'm gonna do it. And I know Nezuko, my sister, and we're gonna become Adam and Eve of this new world without demons." Wait, nope, hold on. I don't like how that came out.
Wait. I also both like and dislike how Tanjiro's dad in the flashback is like, you must achieve perfect focus so that you can see the transparent world. You because how people close their eyes to focus on their hearing better. You must be able to individually close off and open parts of your body to have perfect control of every blood vessel and nerve ending for masterful fighting technique. And then it's portrayed as just the Vitruvian man with a brain.
This is so on the razor margin of over explained. Like,
Yeah.
walk it back just a little.
It's also weird because he explains it as if it's like closing off physical pathways, but like what he's actually describing is you need to shut off emotions that are not currently helping you.
Yeah.
Like it's shut off the things that are not giving you what you need at the moment to see the
What
transparent world of like a state of calmness is what he's describing. But
which
then it's just
how does that let you see the enemy's brain?
It's making something very cool that is metaphorical, literal. Oh god, it's the sword breathing techniques again. Fuck.
yeah, it's just magic. It's just magic that also, as we've described this, I'm kind of also getting flashbacks to isn't this what the sword breathing already does? They're kind of just double dipping in that you need to close yourself off from the world because the breathing techniques are what centers you into fighting. Like,
Mm.
Yeah, but they've been using the sword breathing techniques less as centering yourself into the battle and more like pouring oxygen into your muscles to power up your ki.
yeah,
Which okay, I'm being exceedingly generous right now. It feels like that's a generational decay thing. The original like sun breathing masters learned how to like focus themselves through breathing to achieve perfect calmness, the state of serene oneness of mind and body to be perfect swordsmen. And then everybody they taught afterwards were like, breathe good equal fight good. Okay.
gotcha. I
And
gotta breathe like a snake. No, don't do that. Nah, I'm breathing like a snake and you can't stop me.
I gotta breathe like love.
I gotta
breathe
breathe like love so that people will want to fondle my boobies.
breathe,
Oh my
breathe good
God.
equal fight good.
I've gotta breathe like sound.
The fucking least believable thing about this manga is that no man wants the love Ashura. Like,
Yeah.
She is peak.
Jacob, I'm sorry to bring up your trauma, but the chapter title page for 152 reminded me of the Poseidon fight in Record of Ragnarok with everybody reaching forward for their sword to reach the deepest part of the trench.
it's
Yeah,
so deep.
the metaphor that the manga itself completely butchered.
Yes.
That is a cool title page, honestly.
it is super cool.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, here's the thing. This is something that, like, it didn't, like, I didn't notice it. It didn't bother me because there's a lot of cases where Demon Slayer is like, okay, I see what you're going for. You didn't necessarily execute on it to the point where it's like tipped over into being bad. But like, yes, the manga has actually pretty thoroughly established that what the Hinokage Kamura is specifically the oldest and the correct version of the sword breathing techniques. So like the way that Sam described it is absolutely literally true, but the problem is it's so muddled in, like, in some cases it's so muddled in over explaining, or it in other cases it just leaves important information out that, like, gosh, you have to work so hard to follow this, and like if you're not like locked into the ideas that they're going for, it's so easy for it to lose you. And honestly, for as especially with the point that it's at now, because it has gotten fluffier, it has gotten more like typical shonen with each passing arc.
I hate how exalted it is because
It
it's
started off street level superhero.
Opposite, yeah. It started off the exact opposite, and it's like putting in the work to follow it, frankly, isn't worth it. If it had stayed small scale and gritty, then, it's the type of thing where it's like I would have been like, no, wait, they did say this. It's like this is the kind of thing that I would defend, like really strongly. But like it doesn't commit to its own like selling feature because it went for the popcorn. And if it's going for the popcorn, then I'm not going to put the effort in to care that much. I'm going to miss the obvious poison foreshadowing, because I don't care anymore.
Oh, but Jacob, if you don't care so much, what are you gonna do when we go through not one but two separate flashbacks for Azuka?
God, remember when I said the shortening and lack of filler pissed me off at a point? God damn!
Oh my god.
I hate it because the back half of this fight, like, I love the entire Akasa fight at this point. The back half is especially good because we have a great fake out where Tanjiro is like, he's focusing in on the lessons that he's learned. He's channeling his ki and his power. And we have a whole panel of Akaza donutting Giyu. Except no, he didn't, because Tanjiro cut his hand off before he could punch it through Giyu's sternum.
Which is cool.
That is dope
cool
as
as
shit.
fuck.
That is Demon Slayer. It's just like, this demon is stronger than a human being. He's going to kill him. But I can singularly focus on trying to stop him. And like by cutting his hand off, I blunted his blow and like Giyu survives.
Yep. And then Tanjiro, having achieved this state of perfect, like, divine calm, just walks through Akaza's, centuries training of punching at the slightest twitch to go and cut off his head. And I'm like, God damn, that's so fucking cool. This is great. This is the shit that I fell in love with back in the first, like, 3 arcs.
It's great too because Akaza like strikes both of them, but like Tanjiro dodged. But because Tanjiro has like entered this state of calm, he's no longer aware he exists. So he's just like, I clearly killed him. So now I just got to kill this last guy. I'm even going to talk about how that kid had promise. It sucks that he died. And Giyu is just watching Tanjiro standing, blade held behind him, going like, oh man, he's just going to win this. He's going to cut the head off and we're going to be done. And then Tanjiro goes like, I'm going to cut your head off, bitch. And Gio's like, oh my God.
But still, even as his head is falling off, Akaza has a moment of like, I literally did not sense him. He was not human to my perception at that point.
He visualizes him as a plant, and actually, because
a tree.
we actually skipped this because he sort of flashes back to this element of the conversation earlier. One of the other cool things is that there's actually a really cool ideological difference between the protagonist and antagonist here. The idea of Akaza, survival of the fittest, the strong eat the weak. That's just how it is. That's just nature. And Tanjiro's response of, you were a baby once. The strong protected you so that you could grow to be strong, which is a really cool, like ideological, conflict to have with a villain. It's not much deeper than that, but it's just it's a cool moment that comes back here in this moment where, and like I kind of love the fact that Tanjiro does yell, "I'm gonna cut your head off now," because Tanjiro has to beat Akaza like looking him in the face
Mhm.
because that means more.
Yeah, because he doesn't get the surprise attack. He then fights him for a little bit and then gets the like head cut off. And Akaza then grabs his head and tries to shove it back on. And I'm getting flashbacks to Centurion going like, oh God, he's got blood manipulation bullshit.
Well, I think Demon Slayer has abused this before, but like in this moment, it's really cool because it's like, okay, we did the thing that's supposed to work, and this demon is so like determined, you know, because it's like determination is like a positive quality for heroes, right? He's so determined, he almost puts his head back on. Oh no, that wasn't enough. And then Gyu spears his head off again with his own by throwing his broken sword.
Mm-hmm.
Teamwork.
Which is so fucking cool.
And like
Yeah.
the reason it's so cool is because here's this determination of the demon putting his head back on, but just because the demon is that determined doesn't mean that the humans can't be too. They show their determination by pushing even further themselves. Really awesome. And like I'm a little bit mixed on how this ends up proceeding because it feels like it's triple dipping on the he continues fighting without a head thing.
It's got some bullshit layered on it, is the problem with me.
It's triple dipping.
If the rest of this played out like okay, so I was reading this, I saw, Tanjiro cut off the head, Gyu threw his sword, speared it away. I fully believed that the rest of this was going to be Akaza has spent hundreds of years honing his body, honing his nerve, muscle, everything into pure fighting prowess. So even without his head, his body is still going to lash out in like raw muscle memory.
100%. I thought the exact same thing, Sam. I thought that's where they were going with this.
Unfortunately, that's not it. I don't dislike what they went with, but it's definitely more disappointing than what I thought.
So
Yeah.
this happens kind of interspersed with the not one but two flashbacks Akaza gets. Do we want to talk about the bullshit with the demon magic now, or do we want to talk about the two fucking flashbacks?
I
Let's
think
go with the flashbacks.
Let's go with the two flashbacks that he doesn't deserve. As I said at the beginning, man, does Demon Slayer really want you to believe that Akaza is the main character and everyone wants to hear more about him?
Well, I mean, it's one of those things. It's similar to what was it when we were at the initial Demon Slayer training mountain or whatever, when they were just like Demon Slayer recruits or whatever. They've honed in on the backstory of that like blob demon or whatever. It's one of those circumstances where it's just like this is a pivotal demon character who was once human.
It is
I-
like that.
Before that has been half a chapter, not. I think this has been 3. That,
yeah,
like,
it's like 3 chapters worth of flashback. And honestly, you want to know the worst part? This whole flashback story is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It feels really weird and clunky in the location that it's in. I honestly don't know how you would do this otherwise is kind of also the problem.
he's
but-
not ever going to tell anyone about this is the problem. So it's just kind of wasted effort. Like,
The material here is good, but it's completely wasted.
Yeah.
And the thing that gets me, and the point where I was like, God damn it. Okay, so like, fine. I've sort of come to accept that, like, okay, we're gonna give sympathetic backstories to the demons because, like, one of the main ideas in Demon Slayer is like one of Tanjiro's biggest strengths is his empathy, and like he can come to understand the demons, and that's a part of the way he's able to get around their abilities because he understands like the metaphor that their powers are, whatever, blah blah blah. So I've come to accept that like we're gonna have sympathetic backstories for the demons, fine, whatever. So I'm trying to be invested in the story as it wants me to be. Like, I'm trying to read it generously here. And we're going through all this stuff about, oh, he's got this tragic backstory. His father dies, and then he gets adopted, and then they die too. Isn't that so sad? Everything's fine. Like, I wish this wasn't so wasted on a character that is in the process of dying right now that he's not going to tell to anybody. But The thing that pissed me off is then he's gone through all this backstory stuff, and then Muzan shows up and is like, okay, you're a demon now. All of this was building up to him choosing to be a demon with like there's noble vengeance, but it's also like vengeance is also evil and twisted. It's supposed to be like this, like he's supposed to be a character that is admirable but still a villain, like squarely a villain, and like his own choices have brought him to this place. What would be the ultimate choice of joining Muzan is just taken away because we've been stuck on this flashback for 2 chapters.
Like, this is why I called this a Blade of the Immortal ass, because
it's a chunk of a different manga.
Yeah.
Is like the whole thing, because it's literally I know Jacob just summarized it, but like an actual summary is he grew up as a little orphan guy stealing from people and trying to make ends meet because his dad was sick and his dad needs money. Then when his dad finds out that he's been stealing to get the money, his dad kills himself. And then it's just like, because he can't deal with his son dishonoring himself, and he's like, I don't want to be a burden on your soul, be a good person. And he's just like, well, better go on being a little like ragamuffin and beating the shit out of people. Then a karate guy goes like, damn, you're really cool, come join my dojo, you kicked a bunch of ass. And he's just like, wow, but I've got Yakuza tattoos because I've done crimes. Yeah, but you're strong, come join my karate dojo. Damn, that's cool. Also, I've got a hot daughter your age, she has sickness disease too. Oh yeah, I might marry her someday. You might marry her someday. She likes fireworks, I like taking care of sick people and fireworks. And she's like, my god, that's so fucking hot.
Oh my god.
Cut to them marrying someday. And he's just like, yep, you're gonna marry her, that's really cool. Hey, is there an entire unwritten part of the backstory that we're going to have to find out in volume notes about how some other guy was set to marry her from a rival dojo? Yes, that's actually crucial because they're so... Yes, that's so... There is another guy she was supposed to marry from a rival dojo, but he was a dick and wasn't patient with taking care of a sick person, so they just didn't work out. And then he was just like, well, I'm going to inherit the dojo. And upon finding out that they're going to get married, that rival's just like, well, she's going to poison him. He poisons him. And then he's just like, family died from poison. What? There's a dojo of 67 people. I'm going to go murder them all with my bare hands. The
valid crash out.
Yep, and the volume at the end notes then go on to describe this rival as if there was supposed to be a whole fucking fight between Akaza and this dude that would have happened in the flashback he's dying during.
Yeah.
And like...
Here's the thing. The manga, like Jake said, the manga wants you to sympathize with Akaza because valid crash out. You killed my second chance family by not even just showing up and killing them with swords. You poison them because you're cowards. I'm gonna beat you all to death with my bare fucking hands.
Worse than backstabbing. We didn't even have a conversation.
No, and then literally it's Muzan walking into him after he walked away from beating all 67 people to death with his bare hands, going like, I heard there was a demon here, but there is no demon here but a boy. I'm shooting you full of my blood. By the way, boy, I was thinking about making a team of 12 super strong demons. You in? Too late. I'm making the decision for you. I'm also punching through your...
voice.
I'm also now punching through your brain so you have no memories, so that you don't have any of character motivation.
I'm seeking teenagers with attitude.
Oh no. Yeah, god,
it's so dumb. It is a backstory that is like for a prequel manga, not because the spider Kizuki has a very similar thing where he has a flashback as he's dying, but his flashback is just sad and motivates like what he was doing and kind of gives some catharsis here. This is just a fucking explanation for that he didn't end up doing.
So it's not like a redemption, if that makes sense. It's not kind of like I have learned that this is the wrong way and my motivations for becoming a demon or whatever are invalid.
Yeah, because he has he explicitly says he has no memory of this motivation. So it's completely fucking pointless.
Yes. It's kind of like the more the demon Slayer lore unravels, it's just kind of like, oh, wow, there's really no connection or interconnectivity here. It's just kind of random.
as the rest of the fight happens with Tanjiro and Gyu's kind of there, I vaguely remember.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the whole happenstance of them being kind of paired together was just kind of a happy accident. Because I mean, it's just like, so was he really there for the assist? Is that it?
Maybe. But the whole thing is that Akaza's like being held back. One of his arms is just being held back because in his mind, the ghost of his dead girlfriend is holding him back, saying, "No, you were strong for other people, but now you're just being strong for yourself, and that's not helping anybody." And he's just like, "This would be great character motivation if I had made any of these choices. I just had brain damage." Like
That pisses me off so much.
Oh my gosh.
God, it's so close to being good.
he then feels guilt about this and then he gets basically completely decapitated and then he does his like his technique that he used to kill Rengoku, and then as he's doing it at the last second he then decides to hit himself with it, and then Tanjiro's just like, he sacrificed himself, how noble. And I'm like, no, it isn't. It's he just it's just why.
Yeah, it's so stupid because all right, he's like, the person that I always want to truly kill was annihilation technique, and he hits himself. It's just like, okay, yeah, you were like racked with guilt or some shit. I
Right.
liked him so much better as just a
The fight goblin.
as a single-minded fight goblin.
No, and he just wants to be stronger, and he just pragmatically chose to be a demon because that is a way to be stronger. Like, that's a completely viable worldview. And then he
That's
could
a-
have the
that-
flashback that's just like, oh, maybe I was wrong. Like,
Yeah, that's a viable thing for a villain. And then you get the whole thing of the manga where it's like, oh, a base desire for power isn't strong enough to beat the human spirit.
oh my God.
Which it doesn't earn. And like there are so many cases where it's like
It could have earned it, is the problem.
like there are so many cases where it's like if either this had been a bigger part of a longer manga, or if they had stopped short and not over explained it, or if that's Demon Slayer for you. It's so, and I think that's the reason why we've been able to talk about it so much, despite like, because I mean, like at this point, like we just kind of keep complaining about it a lot, but like we also have so much to talk about because it's so close.
I'm so invested at this point, but they keep disappointing me.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
so here's my main gripe that we can talk about now that like the fight is over, is the entire time they're like fighting the headless corpse that is like slowly trying to regenerate a head. We've got either Muzan might be aware of this, but like the main point is the number one Kizuki is watching this and is just like, the boy is so close. He has almost matched Lord Muzan in power. He knows the secret of being a demon. To like, the cutting off of the head is no longer a weakness. He can be stronger than me even, because like he's like just willpowering his way into like regenerating his head, and then
Yeah,
it's just me reading.
The number one Kizuki, which is totally not Tanjiro's ancestor.
Yeah, obviously. And like the entire time I'm reading this going like, oh, so remember when I was like, that's bullshit how Nezuko just decided that she was immune to the sunlight because she wanted to be because it would help Tanjiro? I'm like, can demons just believe they want to be stronger and that's how this works?
I would honestly enjoy the idea that like
If they had committed to it.
demons sacrifice humanity for transient power, but if they hold on to human spirit and belief, they can still grow. That would be interesting. We've spent like 75 chapters dancing around it to the point where I don't care anymore.
I don't necessarily know if Akaza should. Like, I don't even know if I'm asking for this, but like, if Akaza survived and he'll face turned, that would at least
became like a Vegeta, yeah.
That would at least make all of the goddamn time we spent on that flashback worth anything.
I'd be so pissed off. I would hate that. But I don't know. It's the bullshit shonen thing I hate, where it's just like the ability to do a power is just believing in it hard enough. Because like, I'm sure there are other demons who didn't want to die, but they didn't believe hard enough that their heads getting cut off isn't actually a real weakness. And Nezuko just believed that she could be in the sunlight enough
I understand where you're coming from. I'm gonna stick by what I said would have been cool, but they also flubbed that.
And it doesn't matter because like Akaza's in the process of regenerating his head and then decides, nah, I'm hitting myself with my elimination technique. Later, bitch. I'm going out on my terms.
I actually was racked with guilt the whole time.
I mean, to a large degree, Demon Slayer is actually a really good example of why, because it's like a determinator in a shonen manga, when done correctly, is like where the hype of shonen manga comes from. But Demon Slayer is honestly a really good example of how to fuck that up. Like, because
Yeah,
of what Matt just said about, like, you know, I'm sure, like, nothing about what Akaza does is any different from any of the other sympathetic demons. So why
God,
is he different?
I hate that I'm saying this so much, John. I know you're listening. Welcome. It would really benefit from the level of like power system thorough thought that Brandon Sanderson put.
Oh my god.
Like if you just thought out everything your power system could do from the very beginning, like you can still have tension, you can still have unknowns, but no, they decided to leave unknowns, even the author left unknowns even for themselves. And so it becomes, I don't know, whatever's good for the story.
Yeah.
You have to understand the rules to be able to break them in a satisfying way, but here we are.
So the whole thing with Akaza and them going like, the boy was so close, but he gave up at the last minute. He had almost reached greatness. Like that whole scene caused me to lack any faith that I'm getting like a reasonable explanation for how Nezuko is suddenly immune to the sunlight.
Yeah.
It's literally just going to be she loved Tanjiro enough. And I'm like, oh, cool. Sure sucks that everyone else didn't love their family enough and they just died, which is the problematic bit you get in every shonen where just believing in yourself, like it makes it like, well, sucks that those people, that mother whose children died, didn't love them enough. But that's why she's crying in that village, because I don't know, it's just a nitpick I have with like shonen in general. But
We'll get to Inosuke's fight later.
I just accept Inosuke lives in the same place as Muzan at this point, where I'm like, he can do any bullshit. I don't know.
Actually, no, we're gonna get to Inosuke's fight right now.
Yeah, because spoiler alert, this isn't Kanoe learns that teamwork is important because Inosuke's right there.
God, I flip-flopped on this fight so hard. Because after Akaza dies, we cut back to Doma, and he's just like, oh no, Akaza died. He's my homie or something. I'm so sad.
Well, he goes off on this whole spiel that's just complete bullshit. Like, did you know that he never attacked women or even ate women because he was a noble person? And I'm like, do you know that for sure?
This is either bullshit you're making up right now, or retroactive characterization, because we know Akaza had a sad girl in his backstory.
It's kind of frustrating on my end, because my immediate reaction was what Sam mentioned, and then I realized, oh wait, no, he's a pathological liar. He's probably talking out of his ass.
Yeah, the first half is bullshit. Like he is a liar, but like I could also see this being like, man, wasn't Akaza really cool?
I wanted Akaza to become human and join the team, honestly, at that point, because the amount of character development they gave him, I'm just like, damn, can't we have him also become human?
You know what? Don't spoil it for us in the comments, but if Akaza shows back up at the end of this
I
arc,
would be very happy.
Oh god, he's gonna do that.
Next episode is gonna be me being so angry.
Do it, guys.
I might not even finish the reading.
I'm going to be perfectly honest. Even me, someone who likes that sort of thing, in the context that we have up to this point, would also be pissed, because this has not earned that.
This is the mangaka found out this dude was a fan favorite and gave him the world, even though it didn't make sense,
and made a point of absolving him of the worst part of his backstory.
God. And then this next fight, I flip-flop on it. So I flip-flopped on it like 5 times, because it starts with Doma just like, oh, he died. That's so sad. He was my friend. And kind of like, your facial expression literally didn't even change. Shut the hell up. Oh, that's just because I'm a demon. No, shut up.
She does have a really brutal line.
Why were you even born? You don't have human emotion.
You don't feel anything. That's what feeling things is what it means to be human. Why were you even born? It's a really good
Demons-
panel.
Demons don't have emotions like the rest of us. You can just kill them.
Ugh.
But
yeah,
Kanao
so
gets engaged in this fight. And
and she gets warned by Shinobu before she dies about like apparently they know hand signals. Sure, why not?
yeah,
That's believable. Um
I think okay.
it's more ninja than everything in Naruto.
I think the implication is that Kano figured out his powers on her own, and he just thought that's what the hand signal was because the hand signal was something else. But I don't know for sure.
column A,
That's-
column B, it doesn't actually matter. That's
Yeah.
kinda- But we also get like mini flashbacks that Shinobu knew she was gonna die. And like
And Kanao is real good at seeing.
Yeah, this is sort of like this is the payoff to the Kano's fight felt incomplete and mean spirited because it wasn't finished yet. It was teeing up this.
mhm.
Yeah, this was my first flip flop. It's like, oh, Shinobu lost the fight and died. That fucking sucks. Oh, Kano's here to avenge. Okay, I can work with this. My next flip flop is Kano gets her sword stolen, and then Inosuke is just like, I'm here now. Fuck you.
Uh
I'm
Yeah.
fine with that because a big part of like Shinobu's fight was like you shouldn't be fighting a Kizuki alone.
hmm.
I'm retroactively fine with it because of what we learn later.
Mhm.
But also what we learn later is stupid, so it's
That's just the tagline for Demon Slayer at this
Yeah,
point.
it really
It's explained later, but what we're told later was stupid. So
am I being more misogynist by saying that
Yes.
two women couldn't win this fight, so we had to win the
Yes.
story?
Yes.
I
Yes.
do like the woman vehemently disagreeing with you as you talk over her, Sam. That really hammers
Yeah.
your point home.
Sam, known misogynist.
Well, can't argue with that logic.
Yep.
Oh no.
Yes, spread my idealism, though I may die.
Yes, Sam, keep talking. Then we'll reach the young male demographic of podcasts. We'll be unstoppable.
Yeah!
Oh, this is the path to success that this is us choosing to be demon.
We'll get so much ad revenue by selling creatine. Buy
You know,
creatine.
if you drink hot water purified shillet chalk.
Listeners, I hate to break this to you. You're losing testosterone every time you jizz. Stop masturbating, and you'll be stronger than you could ever imagine.
So Inosuke shows up. After
Ooh.
Kanao's
That's all I
sword
need
is
to hear. Yes. My man shows up.
yeah. Kanao's sword gets stolen so the demon can show off how fast he is. And Inosuke like, time to show off how fast I am.
Mm, it's very
Back.
fast. And flexible.
And flexible. And the
Very.
demon's like, I can't get one-upped by this boar-faced idiot. And
Yes.
so he steals the mask.
After like stepping the exact length away from his he measures his arm. It's like, haha, if I stand here, you can't possibly hit me. Oh shit, I got my eyes cut. What the fuck? Ha! I used my Gumu Gumu no arm technique.
I just attached all the joints in my arm. Like
No.
that's totally something I could do. And I'm
See,
like,
Matt-
what the
Gumu Gumu, Gum Gum Fruit makes more sense. This is a Hamon technique, JoJo's Part 1, and it's so dumb.
So I in this fight, I got to the point with Inosuke that I just reached a state of zen, and I'm like, no, this makes sense. Beast breathing must give you just like total control over your biological form.
Mm-hmm.
That's why
Gotta
he
make-
can rearrange his organs.
Yes.
That's why all of his like sword techniques, he just shouts random bullshit and calls it a beast breathing technique. He's
Yes,
doing a
arm.
completely different thing.
His arm has become a chameleon tongue.
You don't understand. His 100% his sword style is just believe it.
Meanwhile, Kanaway is just going like, he dislocated all of his joints and then
Yes,
reset them himself.
'cause
That's really not good for him.
you don't
Didn't
understand.
that hurt? I'm not gonna say.
Oh.
A man's just a savant. It doesn't have to make sense.
Your man's high on meth, so he can't feel pain.
Yep. Yep. But damn, he looks good doing it.
The demon steals the boarhead mask, and he's like, "Wait a minute, your Beast Shonen features. I've seen them before."
As
This is
we all-
bullshit, and I hate it.
So dumb.
weird.
I hate that. I
Well,
don't even
you
mind
know,
that
we-
Inosuke is here. I don't mind anything Inosuke does in this, but this injection of backstory is so unnecessary.
No, because like we in the red light district, that's kind of like revealed of like, haha, he's so attractive he can pass as literally like a woman, no problem. And then it's just like, oh, I wonder, how he inherited those features. Oh, by the way, he had a mother who was very, very beautiful. That's why I'm able to remember her because she was like really, really hot.
Also, he likes pinky promises because his mom would sing him songs about pinky promises. All of this is being told to us from the known liar.
Yes.
But,
Yes.
but because this is a flashback, the audience just has to assume it's true. There's no reason to assume it's true. Inosuke doesn't give a shit about his mom.
This is
It's
the
only-
one time the pathological liar tells the truth, okay?
He just happened to literally shove a finger in his brain and make himself remember, which he could do, by the way, if he actually cared at any point. It's just whatever suits his needs.
And he luckily a woman who looked exactly like Inosuke went to his cult and stayed as one of his wives or whatever. She was a victim of abuse from her husband, so she was running away. But
Her husband was beating the shit out of her. Her mother-in-law beating the shit out of her.
It's tragic backstory number 86. It's
it's
Demon
actually
Slayer.
it's really dark compared to like the rest of the backstory too. It's just
Yeah.
It's
No,
really
no,
sad when Tanjiro
rolling
is
that back.
really the only one who had a non-entirely like negative backstory, except for like
It's
Yeah.
so real. I've known people who lived this.
Which makes it feel really out of place in a shonen manga.
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I walk back my thing that this is out of place here because like it then goes into. It's kind of weird how realistic his cult is really the kind of take back. Like it's we find disenfranchised people and lure them in, and then I eat them. And also, my dad was feeding the women, and then my mom killed him with a knife, and I was just like, huh, that sucks. Well, better go on living forever because heaven and hell ain't real. But like.
Yep.
It's just a whole bunch of Inosuke backstory that I don't give a shit about. And then I'm kind of just realizing midway through, I wonder if there was like plans to have this demon and the dude that Zenitsu fought be like their own arc. Because then Zenitsu and Inosuke would have their backstories revealed that had been like briefly alluded to, but would breathe in like a full arc of weird cult guy and swordsman. I don't know who Tanjiro is fighting in this sense, but like whatever.
Probably number 1 Kizuki.
Like it feels like an entire arc was supposed to happen with these characters alone, but then that got rewrote, and then they suddenly just had backstory elements for Zenitsu and Inosuke, and they're like, shove it in here.
Yeah, they had to condense it into this final arc. In all honesty, I think Demon Slayer was on the way down culturally by this point, and it might have been that you're only getting so much more time, so wrap it up, and a bunch of stuff got condensed.
I want to say that's not true, because I think the final arc was written while Mugen Train was out. And that was
And
like
it was still that was still
Mugen Train was like Demon Slayer's cultural peak.
Yeah. So I get I don't know. I don't
it's
have
weird.
the knowledge. Yeah, it's
What happened to Demon Slayer that it got sped up when it was super popular is weird. I don't know what happened there. I'm sure at this point in history people know, and there are probably articles I could read, but I don't care enough.
I don't care to. Yeah, no. I mean, not for nothing. A lot of the Demon Slayer getting less gritty and less ground level has a lot to do with how fast paced it is. So if it had just slowed the hell down, a lot of its problems would immediately go away. But this is the world we're living in, and we're still fighting Doma.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And it's another one where like this is a good fight, and the thing that I kind of appreciate
Wait,
about this whole fight is over the course of it, it becomes clearer and clearer that Shinobu has been like obviously not this specific situation, but Shinobu has been setting this up from the beginning, and that
Yeah,
this was
and
all her puppeteering.
and this is the other flip-flop I have because it's like, okay, Shinobu fighting, cool, powerful, strong. Oh no, she died. Kanao in, cool, powerful, strong. Inosuke's here. All right, so the dude has to settle this because the women can't. Oh no,
Hey,
wait. Kanao actually has been microdosing lidocaine, I mean poison, for the past year.
Yes, specifically.
Shinobu was microdosing
Yeah,
poison.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
Shinobu was microdosing lidocaine. I mean, Wisteria some poison.
Yep, Wisteria, known, poison to demons, hence why the Wisteria trees were able to keep them at bay.
Princess Diary. No, not Princess Diaries.
Princess
Princess.
The Princess Diaries. Aha! I will
Prince-
become queen of this country because I have slowly
know
built up
what?
a resistance
I
to
would-
poison.
Yes.
Princess Bride reference.
I am
Yeah.
Indigo Montoya. You killed my father, and I look like a princess if I just took off these glasses and did something with my hair.
God.
You killed my mother. Prepare to die. Puts on head.
Oh, it's actually surprisingly fitting. Yeah, no, I think the big thing for me is that the further the fight went, the more I realized where it was going with this, because Inosuke's participation, he's getting directed by Kanao. So I always kind of got the vibe that he was basically just a blunt instrument distracting the bad guy,
Well,
for the plan to go off.
and like I read it as like it's teamwork, which is what Shinobu didn't have. She got ahead of it, and then
Yeah.
her shadow mastering the entire thing from the end kind of like ruins that a little, but like whatever. It was like a personal vendetta for her is the thing. And like those two working together are able to take this guy down with working with her at the end, and it turns out they were all working as a team.
I think to a degree, like what you were mentioning about like Shinobu was like foolish in going ahead without the rest of them. It is kind of addressed in like the end scene where I don't
It
know
was
if this is souls or not, but the thing that she acknowledges is it would have been better if I had survived this. Because then I could have dealt with Muzan, who's the one who's really responsible. But I will accept this like imperfect victory because it has been my motivation this whole time.
yeah. I think she wanted to handle it by herself,
Mm,
but this was a fallback plan.
yeah.
Because I think what she wanted to avoid was setting up the exact same situation that got her killed, where had to avenge her older sister, and she's like, "Shit, I'm just doing the same thing where my younger sister is being set up to avenge me." But, eh, I've bit into the revenge, and like the one thing Shinobu has been defined by is she is like a very quiet rage that is constantly bubbling beneath the surface. So her giving into that vengeance and meeting her end by that is kind of fitting because like it's I don't know. The like revenge is like a poison within her is kind of
Yeah.
the metaphor there.
Yeah.
That
And
eventually does kill her. So
yeah, and the big thing is there could have been a better way of doing it, but she is willing to accept going down if it takes the
mhm,
object of her rage with her.
yep. And then we get the scene where souls not souls and this guy going like, "Yeah, I don't believe in heaven and hell." I was like, "Oh, well, that's cool." It's like, "Hey, you're really hot. Do you want to go out?" "No, you piece of shit. Let's just go to hell together." And I'm like, "Why is Shinobu going to hell?" Oh no.
I mean, I don't know.
Oh my god, I forgot Souls Not Souls happened with Akaza. It's so weird because his like master and his dad show up to him and he's just like, "Hey, son. Well, we can't bring you to heaven with us, and that sucks. But here's our daughter." And I think she's going to hell with you is how this scene ends.
People
Damn.
love going to hell with the demons that tormented them in this series.
That's what the Spider Family does, right? His
Yeah.
mom and dad go with him to hell, and it's just like, okay, maybe hell's not that bad. It looks like
Maybe
you
it's
can
a
just
different.
volunteer to go there.
I think it's a
I
different.
mean, hell is
conceptualization of
other
hell
people, so
depends on whatever their personification is in different faiths.
Yeah, and the faith system here seems to be like a Buddhist
Mostly
Shinto
Buddhist.
mix.
Yeah.
Because they say the Buddha and other gods in basically every situation where religion is mentioned, so presumably something like that.
Hmm. If the series was better, I feel like there'd be more poignancy to it, but unfortunately it has the really bad habit of either leaving important things out or over explaining
So
sometimes at the same time.
how do you feel that Doma's character entire thing is like a vague emotion, like he doesn't comprehend emotion and is like kind of just laissez-faire about everything, and his whole belief system is there is no afterlife, and his like souls not souls scene is him just like getting a crush on a girl rather than having a fucking existential meltdown that, oh shit, I'm here as a ghost, god damn it, is there an afterlife, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck.
hell is
'Cause that-
real and I'm being cast into the deepest fire.
that feels like the cathartic moment for him should be that reaction, but it's just like, damn girl, you hot. Hell ain't be so bad if you with me.
Yeah, actually, in all honesty, because of how, because like one of the big things about Doma is how smug he is. Like that's a major part of it because he is this smug villain. This actually has something to do with how frustrated I was with them basically shortchanging Akaza and taking away a lot of his culpability and his like demon activities. Because you can, it's like we can't have Akaza be morally gray. We have to absolve him of part of his sins, whereas Doma is like cartoonishly evil like Muzan.
We need to
And
double down on how evil he is.
yeah, and it's like it's not just that he is a bad person who does bad things. He's smug and he lauds his power over others. So him like having a third act breakdown of like, no, this isn't fair. Like the fact that he doesn't care that he dies or loses is supposed to be tied into the whole I don't have emotions thing. But like you made him so smug and hateable specifically so he could have a satisfying third act breakdown, and then you didn't give us that. And it's just, damn girl, you hot. It's weird.
I guess it gives Shinobu a cool moment of like, you know what? This isn't the end I want, but fuck it, I'll go to hell with you just to make sure you suffer. Is like her rage is still going on, even like death didn't absolve her of this anger.
Yeah, it's cool for Shinobu, but it comes at the cost of making a already very thin villain even worse.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I wouldn't even say that he's a bad villain.
It's
just
he's
he's
not
so
a bad...
goddamn thin.
Yeah.
He had really cool demon arts. I'll give him that.
Yeah. He's an obstacle.
Yep.
Did we finish? Are we done?
I think that's the end.
We are done. So, thus brings us to the end of our reading. And must always do for favorite character, favorite fight. My favorite fight was Akaza. So, I think that means my favorite character was Akaza, even though 60% of his screen time was stupid.
Oh, so Sam, you're who the flashbacks were written for, I guess.
Yeah, basically.
But I didn't even like it.
Well, too bad. You got it anyway.
Welcome to Demon Slayer.
Huh?
Anyway, Jay, how about you?
So, actually, so I wanted to mention this earlier, but as far as favorite character, I actually was very intrigued by the character Doma, just because this is a character who did not wholly get a new personality becoming a demon. And obviously a lot of the
a lot of the upper levels, like they're just supposed to be like their exaggerated personalities, but quite literally by the flashback, whether or not it's true or whatever, of Doma pretty much personifies the fact that he is quite literally a sociopath. And the fact that, that in a way kind of, I don't want to say makes him the most, how do I say, it doesn't make him the most human, but it just makes it a most like explainable villain.
He's the realist.
Yeah.
Relatable?
Relatable? I'm not saying
I hope not.
Yeah. Yeah. So I also, just because I've seen like the colorized versions of him as a character, just like the stylization. Favorite fight though, I have to say would be Akaza. Just as a carryover from that huge, was it Demon
Mugen Train, yeah.
From Mugen
Yeah.
Train, yes. Enjoyed that. So again, I spoiled a little bit of the background stuff on myself, but I really did enjoy, I guess, that sort of character development. I still think Gyu just was randomly there for the assist. I don't understand why he and Tanjiro were to, I don't know.
He and Tanjiro were there to confuse me with, are the sword techniques magic yet again?
Yeah.
Sure. So that was my favorite character, favorite fight. They're very enjoyable. Though I have to agree with the rest of the cast. Questionable if we needed all of that backstory to be dumped right then. But I mean, that's part of the course with Demon Slayer. They always dump the interesting backstory right before the characters are meeting their final end. Don't get attached, folks.
Don't get attached. Matt, how about you?
Favorite character is an interesting one. Because my favorite fight was the Zenitsu fight. Because it was short, it was sweet, it was very thematic for like Zenitsu was just like, okay, I tried, and then one shot through the end because like that's his whole technique is just like I attack and I am done. And like he tried to talk down guy I'd never heard of before, and like it was a good fight. I enjoyed it. I don't think either of them were particularly strong characters, so I can't pick a favorite character that way. I don't know. I don't feel like a lot of the characters really shined in here. I've got problems with her, but I'll say Shinobu probably had the most like showy moment in here as a character, and I like the self-sacrifice. I liked the like kind of like imperfectness of giving into rage. I'm not 100% sure how much I'm reading that into the character and how much is actually there, because normally Demon Slayer is a lot more explicit with motivations than that, but I liked it. So,
Hell yeah. And Jacob.
Favorite fight, easily gonna be the Akaza fight, because it just had absolutely spectacular choreography. Close second being the Zenitsu fight for all the reasons Matt mentioned, but the Akaza fight is easily the most like memorable part of it. Like thinking about like this particular section, I'm going to actually, unlike anything from the Hashira training arc, I'm going to remember the Akaza fight, and I'm looking forward to seeing it in animation.
Jacob, you don't remember they had to do rhythmic gymnastics?
They did what?
Enjoyed. Yes. Oh man, we need to revisit that.
We don't need to revisit that ever.
Please.
That was legitimately part of the training arc. They did rhythmic gymnastics.
You were kidding! I thought that was a bit!
No!
Oh!
They were in leotards and everything. It was great.
Wait, real like actually in leotards?
The Love Hashira had them doing the thing with the ribbons.
You're gaslighting me. That's not real.
It is real.
You were there last episode.
Anyway, my favorite character.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually didn't have a favorite character until we started talking about it. The characters were particularly good. Like, honestly, it's not even that they were all bad. It's that they were mostly just kind of mediocre. And God, like Akaza's backstory is so close to being good, but its placement within the story, its complete uselessness, and the fact that they fucking cut it short to simultaneously reduce page count and absolve Akaza of part of the responsibility for his actions is so infuriating. But I am going to say that discussing like the imperfection of Shinobu and like her inability to let go of her anger, and I mean like to some degree I feel like this is the kind of thing that Demon Slayer could have actually like latched onto and really made shine beautifully, because one of the big elements in the story when comparing the Demon Slayers to the demons is people are imperfect. Like, to be a demon is to be perfect, it's to be eternal, it's to be great. Whereas like here is Shinobu, it's like, could there have been another way? Could there have been a better way that didn't result in her dying? Like, that's sort of like the sadness and the tragedy of it, as it were. But it is in her inability to let her rage go. It is in her perfection, like in her imperfections, that allowed this incredibly powerful demon, who could have taken, so like technically only one Hashira was required to beat him because it was two non-Hashiras that finished him off. Like, this is someone who should have taken the entire Demon Slayer Corps all coming down on him at once. And in Shinobu's imperfections, in her human weaknesses, like that being the thing that overcomes him, in this roundabout way, that feels very on brand for Demon Slayer. And if it no, there's a lot of cases where it's like, I will give a story credit for something even if they don't explicitly say, because sometimes a story does leave something, like for you to figure out for yourself. Like media shouldn't explain absolutely everything, but Demon Slayer has a bad habit of explaining absolutely everything. So I almost wish, to confirm that's what it was going for, it did explain it. But just discussing it was honestly more interesting than actually reading the manga, so I'm gonna say Shinobu.
All right, so none of us want to continue reading. We're just waiting, right?
I'll watch the movie.
Yeah, I'll watch it. I mean, this is, again, just one of those types of media that I actually prefer to just consume in animation form. But yeah, I'll watch the anime.
I already said I would have quit before here, but even if I had been reading up until the Infinity Castle, like the second round of even more flashbacks would have just like knocked me out of it. Like, I don't know.
There were parts of this manga, like this reading section, where it's like, boy, if Demon Slayer's low point was here, I would do a lot more defending of it. But like, God, this didn't save it. This wouldn't have saved it under better circumstances, and it also had a lot of really bad stuff that made it worse. So I want to like Demon Slayer. It would just have to be good for that to happen.
It feels like you said, Jacob, it just feels like these were rough drafts that quite literally weren't able to get through the normal like green light process before going straight to like film. It's just kind of like, this wouldn't have survived, any reputable, manga house. It's not coherent enough, and there's so many plot holes that quite literally, like, the little chapter excerpts are like entire paragraphs explaining these little details. And I'm like, wow, if you had just, paced yourself and actually
You could have explained that.
You could have explained it. This is very interesting. It would have been great to have read that within the story itself and not, at the end of the chapter.
With the exception that apparently the manga wanted to turn Akaza's flashback into
an even longer one.
But there was literally a fight planned in the flashback.
Yeah. And I mean, like, a lot of Demon Slayer's problems would not be deal breakers if it weren't for the fact that there were so many of them all compounding on each other. Some of them wouldn't even actually be problems at all if it weren't for other problems, like chipping away at my faith in the series.
I wonder if they even do they start with a storyboard? Like,
or do they just go?
do they just go? Is your manager just saying, go, I just need it out, just draw something? Because I feel like if you had a storyboard with all the characters, you'd be able to really flesh them out and have them have their stories. Yeah.
As someone who ran a serialized Exalted campaign for about 3 years, they did not have a storyboard.
Fair, there you go.
The one difference is the power level, because I was dealing with solar while they're dealing with
Oh.
Anyway, with that, thank you everybody once again for tuning in to the Over Manga Cast. As always, you can find us on all your social media over Manga Cast.
You can also find us on YouTube, where you can like, comment, and subscribe. We also have overmangacast.com. That has a comment section as well. You can give us recommendations. You can tell us what you thought of Demon Slayer. Please recommend better stuff than Demon Slayer.
Jacob, don't tell him to recommend just anything to us.
Yeah, you're right.
And as always, we appreciate reviews in any and all form. Go ahead, reach out, say what you want. If you disagree with us about Demon Slayer, I'd really love to see what you like about the series at this point. But I'm sure you're out there. We also, appreciate reviews, recommendations, like Jacob said. And if you want us to read the rest of Demon Slayer before the other 2 movies come out, go ahead, reach out. Well, at this point, kind of want to just rip the Band-Aid off and get it over with, but we're going to read other things until you tell us to do so. So, speaking of that, hey Sam, what are we reading next time?
Next time, we're going back to something we haven't read in a while. We're going back to Call of the Night. So if you're keeping up with the pod, be sure to read that. And we'll see you all in 2 Thursdays. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
And now, as the podcast ends, it's time for my long, extended flashback about my tragic backstory.
That's a lot of porn.